Hi, everybody. Welcome in to this particular little webinar here with our good friends at Seabourn. My name is Roger, and I am the marketing director here at Crown Cruise Vacations, and we'll be getting started here in just a moment. I'm just going to get everybody another minute or so to get started. Just remember, if you guys are not already muted, please mute yourself. We are trying to make sure that everybody here is muted in this presentation because we want to hear from our friends at Seabourn. And sometimes if you're not muted, sometimes things that happen in your background can become quite loud in the presentation. And we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to hear exactly what our good friend Shane has to say. So again, we're going to ask everybody to mute themselves. And if you are not the presenter, we're going to ask that you go ahead and mute yourself. So we're going to go ahead and get started here in just a moment. All right, thanks for your patience, guys. Again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule tonight to join us and have this exciting presentation with our good friend Shane, who's the Senior Manager for National Strategic Accounts for Seabourn, and he's going to tell us all about the world of Seabourn. So without any further ado, Shane, take it away.
Excellent. Thank you, Roger. My name is Shane. Hello, everybody. It's nice to virtually meet you. I'm coming to you all the way live from Vancouver, Canada, actually, right now. So it's 4 o'clock here. So just about quitting time, but I'm sure you guys have had dinner and you're well rested for hopefully a good presentation tonight. So as Roger said, my name is Shane Buksh, and I'm the Senior Manager for National Strategic Accounts for Seabourn Cruises. And today, working with Crown Cruise Vacations, we want to tell you what's going on with Seabourn, where we are right now in the waters, and what we have coming down in the future, and then obviously give you some special offers at the very end. So I do ask that if you do have any questions, just put them in the chat box and we'll answer them at the very end if I haven't answered them throughout the chat. As well, I know sometimes there's some transitions with the slides or with video content. So if you do see it a bit choppy or a slide's not really changing while I'm talking about it, just bear with the technology and hopefully that will go away. So with that being said, I will start. And what I want to start off with is to talk about where we are right now and what it takes to get on a ship. I really do believe that there is no safer time to travel or to really travel in luxury. Many of us have not traveled I have recently, but I know a lot of people have not traveled in a while. Vacations have been canceled and rebooked and canceled and rebooked. And we're getting to the point now where I think things are going to go through and things are starting up again. So a lot of people are looking at, maybe upping their game of where they've sailed before and what they've sailed on and going on to more luxury experience. And that is definitely what Seabourn falls within. For those of you who do not know Seabourn, I'm going to explain about the brand a little bit later. But what I want to talk to you about right now is what it takes to get on board a ship. In the past, you buy an airline ticket, you buy a cruise ticket, you kind of made your way there to the ship, you checked in, and you're good to go. Well, unfortunately, it's not that simple right now. So there are some steps needed to get you to the ship, which is why working with Crown Cruise Vacations, it's definitely a good partnership because we really do rely on them and agent and advisors in general to ensure that they are guiding our guests the right way to make sure they have a great time when they're on board. So I'm going to tell you the steps that are required currently to get on the ship. And then after that, I'm going to really dive into the ship, what she has to offer, what they have to offer, and where we are going. So the first step you need, and actually, by the way, too, all these pictures that you see online on this webinar here, up until the point we start talking about expeditions, they're all from my camera on my recent voyage on the Odyssey. So I was just on the Odyssey at the end of end of August, and I took all these pictures. And I say that the reason why I do say that is because this particular picture here, I probably should have edited or airbrushed a little bit because there was a little bit of rust on that hook there where the life ring is. But all in all, the ship's in really good condition, but I probably should have edited it there just in case you're looking at it and thinking, I don't know about the ship, but it was a beautiful ship. So the first thing you need to do to get yourself down to Barbados, where we sail from right now, is you need to be fully vaccinated. We do have that policy right now until the end of February. We are revisiting it here and there based on what's going on in the world. This primarily is a big focus for us because of the fact that Barbados as a country also requires you to be fully vaccinated with a negative PCR test to get into the country. So you do have to have you have to be fully vaccinated with at least 2 weeks prior to leaving to get to the ship. And that can be either Pfizer, Moderna, or anything that's CDC approved or World Health Organization approved. Okay, so that's the first step. Over time, we're hoping that that won't have to be the case if the world gets in a better place. But right now, we just want to travel on the side of caution, and we do have that in place. From there, you need to make sure you have a negative PCR test. So this has to be done 3 days prior to arrival into Barbados. There is a difference between a PCR test and an antigen test. So this is the test where you have to kind of wait a little bit longer for the results. So you do want to make sure you get that done prior to arriving to the ship. And so, let's just say if you take the test and then you find out you were positive for COVID, or you get down to Barbados and when you land, you realize you could take another test and you get a positive result there. Seabourn will make sure that you are taken care of. So either being a refund on your cruise or a credit for your cruise or taking care of you when you're down in Barbados with hotel and medical costs, you will not be left out of the dark. You'll be definitely taken care of. So, but we do require, Barbados does require that you have the PCR test at least 3 days prior to arriving into the country. Moving from there, we do want all of our guests to upload the BIM Safe app. Now, this is an app similar to most governments where when people are coming in right now, they want to just know how to contact you, where you've been, and just to realize in case, do some contract tracing to an extent. So you would have to fill in this app to come down. We do ask, then you do go online and fill seabourn.com and do your online check-in and fill in the risk assessment form. Now, what this form is just allowing you to know that, COVID is still out in the world right now, and that even though we are sailing, it is something that it's out there. We're happy to announce, though, that on our ships, we have had, I think only one case of COVID since we started back in August again. So we've really made sure that we've kept a tight bubble within our ships where we go and who we're coming across contract. And when people do get tested positive with COVID, there is a measure now in place in regards to making sure they are isolated from other guests, but obviously still in comfort, and then getting them off the ship in ports of call where they can be assisted. We all know that cruising took a really bad hit at the beginning of the pandemic with the one ship that was in Japan and guests not being allowed to get off. And that really did put a bad stigma to cruises. But I really could say cruising is probably the safest place to be right now because there are no outbreaks and there's so many measures put in place to make sure it is safe. A couple more things you need to do before you get on board right now is you need to download the mobile source app for Seabourn, which is our mobile app. And this will allow us to do less paperless or less face-to-face contact and more paperless documentation. It is also great too, because that back in the day when you would go on a cruise ship, you would have to go and do a lifeboat drill, and it obviously caused big crowds. Well, now we do the lifeboat drill on the app, so you'll be able to do that in the comfort of your own stateroom, your own suite, with a drink in hand, and just watch the lifeboat drill that way. Final couple steps is when you arrive into Barbados, you do need to go through what's called a sterile corridor, and this takes you right from the ship from the airport to the ship without kind of stopping anywhere. Now, as of Sunday of this week, the Barbados government actually allowed people to come into Barbados and not have to go through this corridor anymore if they show fully vaccinated documentation and a negative PCR test. So if you did want to stay in Barbados for a few days before, you definitely could. Then the final test is when you get to the ship, we will perform a really quick antigen test. This is our final test, complimentary from Seabourn, just to ensure you're okay to go. Now, when you get on board the ships right now, we do have a mask policy. However, I'll be honest with you, the mask policy is in place right now just in case things get worse. But on all of our sailings so far, our guests have gone on board. I think there was only one sailing, where that one guest had COVID conducted or caught COVID, that one sailing they had to wear masks. But every other sailing that they went on, they were actually able to take off their mask because it was deemed safe. So we do have a mask policy in place technically right now until the end of February, but it is kind of see how it goes per sailing and discretionary to the ship and the conditions of the ship at the time. We just don't want to make sure that we put a policy out there saying no mask are needed, and then all of a sudden you're told, well, now you have to wear a mask the day before you're about to leave. So again, signing on the going on the side of caution here, but it's a pleasant surprise when you get to the ship and you're told you don't need it. So after all those steps are done, you can finally travel. Now, we all know that this was travel didn't seem to be this difficult back in the day, but it is somewhat the new normal. I got to admit, back in April when I put this post, or in August when I put this post on Facebook, I felt so excited because it was my first time putting this post and saying I am going somewhere. I'm super excited. Get the caviar and champagne ready, and all my friends and family were excited for me too. And it really did gain confidence that you still can travel right now. And look at me now. I'm back, healthy, no problems whatsoever. So traveling is possible. Now, again, I mentioned all these pictures are going to change as I talk right now, but these are pictures I took from the ship, but I really wanted to talk to you about the fleet. So Seabourn as a brand, we are an ultra luxury cruise line. We kind of use the coin phrase ultra luxury resort at sea. We have a total of 5 ships, the Odyssey, Sojourn, and Quest, which hold 450 guests, and then the Encore Ovation, which holds 600 guests. So very small, intimate boutique hotel at sea. We have the Venture and her sister ship, which is actually named the Pursuit. When I made this presentation, she didn't have a name yet, but now her name is Pursuit. And these 2 ships will be our expedition ships, which I'll talk to you more about in a little bit. So we do have a total of 5 ships currently, 7 in the next couple of years. And again, as you can see, the picture's changing. It is very much ultra luxury resort at sea. The best way to describe our ships are very private club, country club feel. Our dress code policy, we're not a stuffy cruise line, even though we're luxury. Going to dinner, you don't have to wear a suit and tie or a tuxedo. You can wear a dress shirt. Even if you want to wear a blazer, you can, like I am now, but you don't need to. So we have a very, I would say, country club elegant is how you describe our dress code. A lot of the luxury lines, such as Crystal, Silversea, and Regent, who are kind of our comp set, all have a very similar policy as well. But I think out of the 4 brands, we do have the most casual policy when it comes to our guests and how they are looked at on board. As well, based on the 4 brands as well, we do have the newest fleet, the youngest fleet out of all the luxury lines. So our ships came out, the Odyssey, Sojourn, and Quest came out in 2009, 10, and 11. And then the Encore and the Ovation came out in 2016 and 2018. So a fairly young and modern fleet. And as you can see, as the pictures change, plenty of well-appointed lounge space, bars, poolside areas. Because of the fact that we are a small ship, we do have the specialty dining restaurants. We have the multiple bars and lounges. We have a show lounge as well. So we do have a full, we have a showcast on board for entertainment purposes. We have a casino on board. So the things that you would find on a mainstream cruise line, we do have it, but we do it at a much more elevated level with more class and a bit more refinement. And one thing I will talk about is the public spaces. It really does feel like you're in a high-end luxury boutique hotel. I do recommend that for those of you who have sailed Seabourn before, you know what I'm talking about. But for those of you who haven't, it is very much the well-kept secret in the luxury market. And the nice thing is too, the Odyssey, Sojourn, Quest, and the Encore and the Ovation are all a very similar layout. So if you go into one ship, all 5 ships are very similar in the way of layout. The Encore and the Ovation are slightly larger, so they do have a couple extra restaurants on the ship, but overall, the setting is pretty much the same. So you will feel very comfortable with making your way around the ship. And, it takes you less than 5 minutes to get from point A to point B within anywhere of the ship. So it's really nice when you have that kind of small ship feel. Now, talking about the accommodation on board, the accommodation is second to none. All of our suites on board are suites, ocean view or oceanfront suites. We don't have any inside staterooms. We don't say cabins because they are a bit more luxurious than that. Each room, now the pictures you're seeing right now is actually the Winter Garden suite, which is our top suite. Each room has well-appointed, bedding. You see your choice of pillows, choice of pillow top mattresses. You will have your own private, a fully stocked mini bar. You'll have your own, your bathrooms will have its own shower as well as its own standalone tub, 2 vanities, floor to ceiling marble. So very beautifully appointed. We partner up with Molten Brown. So we do have luxury amenities for our toiletries on board. And you can see here in this picture, just underneath the gray kind of shaded area on the side, you can see the 2 room attendants. Well, on our ships, each room has a suite attendant and a suite host. And what the difference here is, the suite attendant is basically, in layman's terms, it's going to be your room attendant. Your room steward, and they're there to make sure that everything is well kept in your room and you're getting everything you need and really trying to anticipate anything you might need during your journey. Then you also have your suite host. Now the suite host, how I describe them, is kind of like a butler or concierge, if you want to call it that, but it's very much, we don't like that term. It's that term seems very formal to us, and we want them to be very much more casual with you and to be very much friendly with you and not feel like they're there to make you feel uncomfortable, obviously. So the 2 of them work in tandem to really deliver that level of service and expertise and welcoming our guests on board. From the moment you get on the ship, you get to the gangway and they're calling you by your name. When I got to the ship, they're like, "Hello, Mr. Buksh, welcome, Mr. Buksh." And for me, it was that little element was just spectacular. They're really good at making Seabourn moments as well. And I'll talk about that in a bit. But one thing they did was, I remember I came back from a day on the beach and I thought it was going to be I was very tired, and got to my room, and the host understood this. She said, "You know what? He's probably gonna be tired when he gets back." So what she did was she made this beautiful bubble bath with rose petals and essential oil and had it ready for me when I came back to my room. So knowing that I probably would want to relax. I thought it was very funny because she had 2 glasses of champagne and I was by myself, but I definitely made use of both glasses, and I finished that bottle of champagne because you're not going to let champagne go to waste. But it was definitely great experience, and is those little moments that our staff do on board to really kind of anticipate your needs and make it a vacation worth remembering. Now, you can't talk about, I know it's dinner time for many people right now, but you can't talk about going on a cruise ship without talking about dining. The dining on board is simply delectable on board Seabourn. We do partner with Thomas Keller, who is a Michelin star chef, and we have Thomas Keller Grill on board. Now, this is where you can get steak and lobster, and I actually took these pictures of the steak and lobster that I ordered myself, which was one of the best meals I've ever had. And it was spectacular. The nice thing on board our ships too is, when it comes to dining, is there is no specialty dining that charges as an upcharge or a surcharge. Everything is included. So if you wanted to go to Thomas Keller Grill every day, providing you can get space, you could do it. If you go into our dining room or into our buffets, the food there, the quality is just as good. So when you're going on Seabourn, when you're going for any type of meal, it's very much an experience, and it's very much a joy, because you feel like, I need my full 2 hours to finish this meal, because it's gonna be so presented in a way and so many layers of flavor and everything that you would really want to stay there to enjoy it, versus just going there to eat. And if you like champagne and caviar, we definitely have your choices of that on board. You can get your fill. I actually was on the ship with a fair amount of travel advisors. And one of the advisors had said to me, "Hey, we're going to have people come up to your room for some champagne and caviar. Do you want to come up?" And I said, "Absolutely." So as you can see in the picture on the left, just underneath the gray kind of lettering, that they came into the room with these trays of caviar and champagne. And we just kind of sat there and ate caviar and champagne while we were looking at the ocean. And it was just such a great experience that you don't really get in the everyday lifestyle of how we live. So it really did make us feel pampered. When it comes to liquor on board too, all drinks are included. So any premium beverages or wine, spirits, you know, we don't have levels of packages. It is all included. If you did want to get very expensive wines, like really high quality wines, there is a package you could buy for those. However, I'll be honest with you, I was in the dining room and I would get a glass of wine from a $50 bottle, and that was included. So it was really nice to know that the premium spirits and premium wines and that were included on board with our premium dining that we have. And of course, if you wanted something a bit more casual, we of course have our buffets and our poolside eateries. But one thing we also do really well is room service. And every morning I would put up my room service placard saying I wanted breakfast at 7:15 in the morning. Well, right at 7:15, I get a knock on the door and the room attendant would come in and said, "Hello, Mr. Buksh, here is your breakfast. Where would you like to eat today?" And I said, "Oh, don't worry, just give me the trays and I'll put them on the table." He's like, no, I'll do it for you. Did you want to eat inside or outside? And I said to him, "Well, I got some work to do today, but so I'll probably just eat inside." And he said to me, "Well, do you want to at least have a view of the outdoors? It's a beautiful day." I said, "Sure." So what he did was he moved my table right to the window. And then he set a tablecloth down and he set everything up. And the picture you see on the screen right here is exactly how it showed when I ordered room service. It felt like I was in a restaurant. And it was just those little details which make that Seabourn difference. Because, you know, you go on a cruise ship or at a hotel even, and you order room service, you get the trays and you kind of have to kind of open them all up and kind of make your way where you're on your bed eating your food. And on Seabourn, that's not the case at all. Even if you're eating in your room service is like you're eating in a restaurant. So I wanted to show that particular picture just for that reason. Now, I want to tell you about some other experiences we have on board. Now, Seabourn is known for its Seabourn Moments. And what those are we have a whole just experiences on board that we deliver to our guests to really make them feel like this is a special and unique opportunity to be sailing. One is our Marina Day. So as you can see on the back of the ship, what we do here is we deploy our back platform and we have water sport equipment such as kayaks and banana boats and waters and like water couches that you kind of sit behind a speedboat and they pull you. And we deploy those out for our guests to use free of charge for a day of fun at sea. So it's really great because this is almost feels like a very private yacht experience. I'm sure we've all seen those really expensive yachts where you see people standing at the end of the back of the ship, or back of the boat, and they're going off with their jet skis. That's essentially what this experience is. And it's very unique to Seabourn. We're the only cruise line that really have the capability to do this. But we allow our guests a day of fun, just enjoying the water. And really, truly, it was probably one of my highlights on our 7-day Caribbean cruise we did, because of the fact was we got to be in the ocean and just frolic in the ocean. And it was something that was just really, really fun. Another thing that we have in the way of our moments is we do call upon a beach in St. Kitts called Carambola Beach. And this is a private kind of beach club that we rent out essentially for the day. We're the only people there. And we do a full beach barbecue. So we do champagne, lobster and steak barbecue. And it's a great day of fun at the beach. And when you think of the Caribbean, this is always every cruise line kind of have their own private islands. And this is kind of what we do for ours. Simple, just beach and just enjoying being at an area where you have some nice white sand and blue waters. But one thing we do differently is we do an event called Caviar in the Surf. So what happens is the captain comes out in a Zodiac speedboat and he kind of hits a bullhorn and everybody kind of all of a sudden kind of conjugates this one area of the water because there's all of a sudden a surfboard full of caviar and they're serving champagne. So all of our guests are kind of waiting in these tropical blue waters of St. Kitts, and they're being served caviar and champagne throughout the entire time. Sorry, my dog in the background barking. This is the joys of Zoom right now, right? So here we got caviar and champagne, and it was just such a spectacular day because everyone was just enjoying themselves. They were all there talking to each other, and it was a bonding moment for all of our guests because it was that moment where no one had a camera on them except for me, and they were really experiencing something truly unique that you really don't get on any other cruise line. And of course, this is all complimentary. Okay, so I've talked about our Caribbean product. I want to just show you where our ships are kind of going right now. So currently we have the Odyssey sailing out of Bridgetown, Barbados, and out of St. Martin. And she is doing 7-day cruises with alternate itineraries. After that, she actually does a back-to-back voyage, a butterfly voyage of the Windward and Leeward Islands. And we go very far south in the Caribbean. We know that the true Caribbean are those more southern islands. And the nice thing is, if you do these back-to-back voyages, the only port of call that actually repeats is St. Kitts, which happens to be the caviar and the surf day. So you get to do that experience twice. And if you want to go a little bit further south, we do also offer another voyage, which kind of combines with the two to make a longer voyage hitting the ABC Islands, which are Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. So we do really cover the Southern Caribbean quite well. Now, our second ship, the Ovation, she's currently in Europe. She will be making her way over to Miami come this November. And so she will be doing more cruises out of Miami, doing more of the Northern and Eastern Western Caribbean, along with the Panama Canal. So this is a great option if you want something a little bit closer to home and you didn't want to fly all the way down to Barbados. We will have the option with the Ovation going out of Miami. And of course, we just released the Encore. So the Encore is our third of 5 ships that we're now bringing back into deployment. She, starting in January, will be going out of Lisbon, Portugal, and be doing Canary Island cruises. So doing 10 and 11 night Canary Island cruises throughout the months of February, March, and April. Of course, I know recently there was a lot of talk about the volcanoes in the Canary Islands, but we are obviously staying away from wherever there might be some dangers. But these cruises have been doing very, very well because of the fact that it's something different, and the price points are very inexpensive. I was finding for March for a 10-night cruise, it was starting at about $3,400 US. So it was, it's a great opportunity to go to a different place other than the Caribbean if you want to go venture across the pond. And finally, the Sojourn. This is our ship that does our world cruise. Now, Seabourn, every year we do a grand world voyage. 2023, our world voyage is currently almost sold out, but this is essentially a 140-day voyage with 61 ports of call, 32 countries, 6 continents, and 10 overnights. Now, we are doing this again in 2024, and this will actually go from January to May, starting off in Miami, and then making her all the way over to Barcelona. So, if you do have those bucket list journeys and been able to save a little bit of money during COVID, this might be something that you may want to look at. Now, you can actually book this in portions too. So if you can't do the entire full cruise, you can do portions of it for your, if you don't have that much time off. Now, I've talked about our classic ships in depth here. I do want to also talk about our expedition ships. Now, in 2022, we will be coming out with the first of 2 purpose-built expedition ships. And this will be, the first one will be the Seabourn Venture, coming out in April 2022, followed by the Seabourn Pursuit, coming out in April 2023. Now, these are 264 guests. They are PC6 ice strengthened hulls, which means they're able to go into destinations like Antarctica and the Arctic, where there might be ice in the water and break through. They were developed for Seabourn with the purpose of expedition and luxury in mind. Many times you think of the word expedition and you don't think of a luxury element. We wanted to make sure that our guests who are used to Seabourn and our classic fleet do get a similar experience on board our expedition ships. On these ships, we'll also have Zodiacs, scuba diving available, kayaking available, and 2 submarines available. And I'm actually going to talk about that to you right now. So as this video here plays, it may get a bit choppy, but I'll try to explain as much as I can as it's playing. The ships that we will have will be the Pursuit and the Odyssey, and as I said, purpose-built. You'll see the drawings here of what the accommodation will look like and kind of the idea of what the ship will be itself. With 264 guests, it gives us only 132 suites. So these are all oceanfront suites. Really well appointed too. We really wanted this ship to look more like almost like a ski lodge feel, like a high-end ski lodge. We will have over 8 dining venues or dining options on board. So we'll be bringing Thomas Keller Grill on board, obviously his food. We'll have a main dining room, of course, a full spa area as well. So those luxury elements will be sure to be on the ship. Because these ships are smaller too, we have an open bow policy, so you'll be able to actually go and visit with the captain with the captain on the bridge to actually experience what they're doing and seeing where we're sailing to. We'll also have a team of 26 expedition guides on board. So this team here will include botanists, zoologists, archaeologists, glaciologist, you name it, a very mixed team. And they're there throughout the entire journey to really ensure that you are experiencing expedition to its best. A lot of times you go on a tour and the tour guide is there for the beginning and the end, and then you go back to the ship. They're here to really guide you through the entire journey to make you understand the educational aspect of what you're seeing. The ship itself will have floor to ceiling glass throughout, and really focusing on bringing the outdoors in, especially with our spa and the elements that we'll have. We will be giving complimentary Zodiac landings. So every time you go into a port of call where we have Zodiacs, we'll be able to go out. And we will have 2 submarines, which you'll see on the screen right now. And these submarines will go up to 1,000 feet down. 6 guests per launch, plus the driver, of course. And these are experienced drivers. We're not, hiring someone who doesn't know how to drive these. And going out, like I said, 1,000 feet down. Seabourn's been very good at traveling the world and seeing the ocean level, but now we want our guests to be able to see what's underneath us. So in ports of call where we are able to deploy the submarine, we will have this to go out, and you'll be served champagne on board with leather seating. Those glass spheres you see there, they actually are the same index reflection as water. So when you're in the water, it actually looks like there's no glass. So it's quite unique. Now there is a charge for these that we're estimating probably be about $500 for the charge if you want to do that particular submarine dive. And mainly because it's not something that everyone will want to do. We will be visiting many different ports of call. So we will be going to Antarctica, of course, where we're going to be able to see over 250,000 penguins and the penguin colonies in South Georgia Island. We'll be taking the ship through the Amazon, going all the way from Iquitos to Manaus. So really going deep into the Amazon rainforest with our kayaks and with our Zodiacs. We can really kind of go through the Amazon River very easily and do the different ports of call through the Amazon rainforest. We will be making our way all the way up north as well, doing Iceland, Greenland, Norway. And when we're up there, we actually are going to be doing a northern passage and northeast and northwest passage. So from Iceland, making our way over to Alaska, and then down the coast to Vancouver, and then going onwards to the South Pacific. So that will be on the Pursuit. Now, she hasn't gone on sale quite yet for it. November 30th will be the release date. So if you are looking at doing something like the Northern Passage or the Northeast or Northwest Passage, you do want to reach out to Crown Cruise Vacations and have you been put on what's called the Future Borns list. And this is a list where we give the first dibs to people who have shown interest for these cruises before we put it actually out to the public. So, a lot of bucket list trips going to both polar regions of the world, through the Amazon, and obviously down to the South Pacific as well. So we are very excited to bring these 2 ships into our fleet come 2022. And with that being said, I'm just going to tell you a little bit some offers that we have currently in the marketplace. So if you are interested in booking a cruise with Seabourn, our current promotion right now is $1,000 up to $2,000 in onboard credit. So $1,000 US if you are on 14-night or longer cruise with us, going to the Northern Europe, Mediterranean, Alaska, and Canada, New England. Up to $2,000 if you're booked in a higher suite. So we have different dollar amounts depending on the suite category and the length of the voyage and what category you're in. So you can speak to the team at Crown Cruise Vacations. They can explain that to you. And this goes until November 30th. But this is great because, for short excursions, if you want to do something while in port, that's free money that you have towards using towards all of those. We also are offering a 10% early booking bonus. So if you do book and pay in full, you get 10% off your fare. Well, this is great because honestly, on a cruise that may cost you, say, $20,000 or $30,000, well, this is going to save you an extra $2,000 or $3,000 right off the bat by just paying in full. So this also goes until the end of November of this year. And finally, with Crown Cruise Vacations, if you book between tomorrow and November the 11th, we will be offering $300 additional shipboard credit. So this is exclusive to Crown Cruise. But you can basically pile the three on top of each other and save quite a bit. So now is really the time to be starting to look at booking cruises, because we are seeing that 2021 sailings are a little bit still, the early part of 2022, is a little bit light. But as we get into summer, we're finding more and more people are already booked. And I think that the feeling there is that, travel is starting to ease up a bit. Restrictions are being removed. More people are getting vaccinated, and numbers are going down in most places. So people are booking early now, which is great. And we have very flexible policies when it comes to refunds and cancellations and that too. So you can speak to the team at Crown Cruise and they can definitely explain that to you. And with that being said, I'm going to pass it back over to Roger. And I thank you very much for attending the webinar today. Hopefully I've got you sparked into wanting to go on a cruise sometime soon, or at least have some champagne caviar very soon anyways. And I'll take it to there for some questions.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Shane. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, please just enter them in the chat right now. My question for you is, what do you think your absolute favorite moment was when you were on board? Because I know you were recently on it, right? So what was your absolute, I would love to just do this over and over and over again moment?
I would say it wasn't so much a moment, it was the service. I've been in the industry for over close to 25 years now. And I've been working with the cruise line industry for about 10 in total. And I've been on a lot of cruises. And this is my first time that I went on a brand, on a ship, where when I went on the ship, I was like, wow, like from the moment I got on board, they knew my name. And throughout the entire journey, they really made me feel like a guest versus a passenger. And I think that's where the difference was. And that's where I didn't mind spending a little bit more money on going on a cruise that was more boutique, where they understood what they could anticipate my needs. Like, I'd be by the pool, and the first day I ordered a mojito. Well, the next day, the bartender, without even asking, brought me a mojito, right? And it's stuff like that really, I think, made the difference. Of course, the caviar and the champagne and the ship itself is spectacular, but I think for me that was the biggest element, was that level of service, and that level of, it really made me feel like that I was the only passenger on board, which was really unique.
Yeah. How full was the ship when you were on?
There was 84 people on board a 450 passenger ship. And that's what I'm saying right now is a great time to go, because the ships are not as full as what they would be at full capacity.
Right.
So if you really wanted that but we haven't closed restaurants. We haven't done anything on board to make you feel like you're on a light version of the ship. Everything's open, full crew. We're not cutting corners anywhere, just because we have a smaller capacity right now. So right now is really good time to go, because the deals are there, as well as the experience is much more unique.
Right. And then, just to recap that special offer that we've got going on right now, right? That $300 shipboard credit. And then on top of that, when you book with Crown Cruise Vacations on a Seabourn cruise, we're happy to offer you complimentary travel insurance. Now, this offer is, of course, a limited time offer, and it's for you guys for being a part of this, right? And there are lots of good available opportunities for you guys, both close in and further out. Right. You guys do have a really wonderful feel about you that I think is really special. And I think that's definitely something worth considering when you guys are looking for maybe the next thing that you want to try. Talk a little bit about, I know you love the Thomas Keller, but talk a little bit about like dining options that people have. So like if people have like special needs for dining, let's say that maybe they're vegetarian, or maybe they have some sort of gluten intolerance or allergy or something like that. Like, how easy is it to make sure that those things are taken care of with you guys?
It's very easy. So before you actually board the ship, prior to when you check in online, you actually get a little kind of a survey saying, do you have any needs that you may need? So gluten-free, kosher meals, whatever it may be. And we actually even ask you, what is your preference of liquor that you want in your room? Or what do you want in your room before you get there? So everything's kind of ready for you. So throughout the ship, despite whatever restaurant you may be in, we do have options to cater our guests in every way. We also have, we talk about the formal type dinings, like, going to Thomas Keller in the dining room. We have, like I said, our buffets, the colonnade. We have the room service. We have the al fresco dining outside at nighttime. So there are many options, But when it comes to special services in regards to types of food, no problem. As long as we know in advance, we can definitely take care of you, and the team are there to help you along the way.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So this is just such a great opportunity, especially given the expedition product you guys are rolling out. It looks fantastic. That submarine looks amazing. Maybe not so much for me because I'm scared of cat, but that's definitely something worth considering. We do have a question here. Somebody's asked about excursions, like shore excursions and support experiences that are being affected by COVID. Is there like any specific like tenor that you've noticed or anything like that, or is it really just on a port by port basis?
So there is and there isn't. So I know that with Barbados, for instance, the country of Barbados, in order for us to sail out of Barbados, we have to stay within a bubble. So what that meant was that when we are at sea, or when we're in ports of call, we had to use shore excursions that were certified that they are following a certain protocol. Okay, so you couldn't just get off and roam around and do your own thing. That's the current state right now out of Barbados. However, out of Florida and out of Greece, that wasn't the case, right? So it really depends on which protocol the ship is leaving from. They kind of follow the rule in that. It's hard to say because like when I went, I did want to do a couple shore excursions and I booked them and then they got canceled. And the reason why they got canceled was the provider of the shore excursion, there wasn't enough business for them to really say we can go with 2 people, right? So there is a little bit of here and there right now, but I'll be honest with you. I mean, most of these ports of call, I mean, especially in the Caribbean, a lot of the ports are very similar in what you're going to be seeing. After a year of not traveling, almost 2 years not traveling, I just wanted to be on a ship. I didn't care where it went. I wanted to be on a ship. I wanted to be in some nice water. I wanted to have some nice food. And it was great. And if you want that, going on Barbados is fantastic. If you want something where you want to see a bit more in the ports of call, then yes, going out of Europe or maybe going out of Miami might be a better option. However, as we get further down here, we are finding more and more restrictions. Like I think with more people vaccinated and more kind of vaccine passports or testing, whatever it may be, whatever kind of policy that we have or whatever's out there, depending on the countries, there is now more opportunity for us to be able to kind of freely roam because there's more focus on, okay, what are we doing to prevent it? So I think over the next year, you're going to see the cruise industry getting back to somewhat of a normality. We got through things like swine flu and Norwalk virus on ships back in the day and no problem, right? So I think it's just a matter of time that you're going to see over the next year that 2022 is going to get back to normal. So
one other question about solo travelers, actually. So tell us about like what's the experience like for a solo traveler? Do you guys offer specials for your single passengers? Like what's going on with that right now, and how can a solo traveler take advantage of what Seabourn has to offer?
Absolutely. So we do have a solo traveler rate. I believe it's SeabournSoloTravelers.com. And don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what the website is. But I mean, your team can definitely talk to your customers about that. But we do offer solo rates as low as a 50% charge. So, I mean, basically you're paying 150% versus 200%, depending on the sailing. But again, the experience on board is when it's a small ship and it's a very intimate atmosphere, that solo guests, if they want to be involved, they get to know people very quickly. They don't feel like they're traveling by themselves because the guests on board by the end of the cruise, they all know each other, right? And like I said, the staff really make them feel like welcomed and part of the family. So I know my mom, for instance, she travels by herself and she's a very social person. But she always has that anxiety when she gets on the ship on day 1, day 2, because she's by herself. And especially on a big ship, because she feels like there's so many people, I don't know who to speak to in that. On a small ship, you almost are forced to get to know other people to an extent. And our solo travelers really do like the fact that they're on a small ship and get to make friends and experience these experiences with people that they can be friends with afterwards, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So listen, I want to thank you for your time again. One more time, I'm going to just go over this special offer we've got. It's $300 in additional shipboard credit from you guys. That's on top of all of your other offers. And then Crown Cruise Vacations as well, offering complimentary travel insurance. So this is for any booking made with the exception of, is that the inaugural season of
the inaugural of the venture as well the inaugural of the Pursuit. So
You're talking about
the two
the
inaugurals
season.
of the expedition ships.
The season or the inaugural voyage?
Just the inaugural sailing, just the
Oh,
sailing.
just the first sailing of each. Okay,
Correct, yeah.
so everything but 2 sailings, basically.
Basically.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And then we're also throwing in that complimentary travel insurance, and that's on top of the early bonus savings and on top of the shipboard credit and the extra shipboard credit. And there's a lot that you can take advantage of right now. The rates, the deals are very, very good right now. Whether you wanted to go very short period of time, or even next year or the year after.
Yeah, and then being worked in the cruise industry for a while, this is the prime opportunity for someone who maybe has never traveled luxury before to try it, because the rates are much lower than they usually are because the demand's not as high. And I think that it's kind of like when you fly on an airplane, you fly business class, you're always like, oh, I can never go back. It's pretty much the same experience.
Right.
Once you're on these ships and you experience what these ships have done, and the way cruising is different in the way when it comes to small ships.
Mm-hmm.
And I came from another company where I worked for very large ships, like 5,000 passenger ships. And every cruise line has something for everybody. But Seabourn, I really, truly believe, and experiencing myself, it was about the service. It was about that intimate experience and really be able to go to ports of call that the big ships can't call upon. So if you have a map and you want to pinpoint destinations that you haven't been to before, sometimes the only way to go there is by these smaller ships. And trust me, you'll be able to see more of the world on a ship this size.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Shane, thank you so much. I appreciate this presentation. This is wonderful. And again, you guys have until the 11th of November to take advantage of it. We've got operators, and I guess I should say operators. We have travel advisors standing by for you tomorrow morning, ready to make these reservations. So let's go ahead and please feel free, get booking when you're ready. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll be doing another one of these very soon. But thank you so much. Have a great evening and have a happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Stay safe, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye now.